You would be hard-pressed to find someone amongst the millions of people in New York City who has heard of Hart Island, this wind-swept thin sliver of land in the East River just offshore from the Bronx. But more than 800,000 people over the last 150 years have been laid to rest here, buried beneath the grass and the rocks, most in trenches, dozens at a time.
I was born and raised in New York and actually had worked at Bellevue Hospital for 6 years. And I knew that people went to Potter's Field, but I had no idea where Potter's Field was.
The island has served as New York's Potter's Field, a biblical term from the New Testament denoting a final resting place for the poor, those without next of kin, or simply the unknown. Even now, burials continue, thousands every year, in mass graves like this. Because Hart Island is run by the Department of Corrections, security is extremely tight, like this dock here, where ferries to the island are launched from. Betty Woods' brother, John, was estranged from the family for decades. His body was taken to Hart Island.
It's degrading to the person who's out there and to the family. And then when you say, well, it's also, you can't go out there because it's run by the Department of Corrections, and makes it seem like the person maybe was involved in the criminal justice system.
Paul Devaney's great-uncle, Mike Kilmurray, immigrated to New York from Ireland. A clerical error and sloppy police work after his death put him on Hart Island. Paul was one of the few lucky members who was able to visit the island, and what he saw was far from a traditional final resting place.
No distinctive markings. You could see that there was some fresh graves in one area to the left of us, and the prison captain pointed to an area and he said, it's there, it's in that general area that Mike is buried.
It's impossible to visit Hart Island unless you can directly prove that you have a relative buried there. The only other way is to hover 1,000 feet above. Media access is forbidden.
Melinda Hunt, who's an artist who first came to Hart Island to photograph the landscape down there. After she realized just how closed off it is, she started the Hart Island Foundation that helps relatives who think they have loved ones buried down there find out exactly where they might be.
I'm a visual artist. My effort is to make it visible so that citizens can ask for their constitutional rights to be respected. The public has a right to know what is going on Hart Island.
Paul was one of those people Melinda helped and was shocked by what he had to go through to get on the island.
For this place to be in the middle of the capital of freedom, to not be a place that one can visit freely is a complete contradiction that's no longer acceptable in this day and age.
And there is no plan to change the Potter's Field of Hart Island, nor who controls it. Scott Heidler, Al Jazeera, New York.